All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. What a beautiful day for a multimodal balanced transportation plan. I'm Tom Hucker. I'm the transportation chair of the Montgomery County Council. But I'm so pleased to be here with officials from Prince George's County, from Montgomery County, and from Frederick County that have concerns about the MDOT managed lanes proposal. And many more elected officials would be here if it weren't in the middle of a workday. We didn't have to organize this on very short notice in advance of Wednesday's key vote at the Board of Public Works. In particular, I need to mention Congressman Anthony Brown would love to be here, but he's traveling abroad, and Councilmember Craig Rice would love to be here, but he's out due to the sudden passing of his longtime chief of staff. So we miss them today, but they're very supportive. I'd like to say a few words just to frame why we're here today and then turn it over to my council president who has to leave quickly and then come back to talk about the details of our alternative. For years, our three counties have asked Annapolis for balanced multimodal, I can never say that, multimodal solutions to relieve congestions on our state highways. No one is more affected by congestion than we are and our constituents are. No one has more expertise in relieving congestion and its causes and solutions. But we are 100% for congestion relief here in Montgomery County, in Prince George's County, and in Frederick County. But MDOT's process has shut us out. They have not accepted our recommendations to make their proposal workable. Worse, we have been described as not having any solutions. But the solution we propose is very clear in letters and in testimony to MDOT every year of this administration and the previous one going back to at least 2009. Those recommendations with a few updates are summarized in the map of our proposed alternative, which is more balanced, less disruptive, more protective of the environment, and most important, more effective at relieving congestion than MDOT's plan. And we're releasing this today. We're releasing this today in advance of the Wednesday's key vote in the Board of Public Works so that the board members understand they have a far better alternative that enjoys the support of elected officials in all three counties in this project. We are all legislators up here. We all see well-intentioned proposals with significant flaws all the time, and our job is to fix them. We amend them to make that work, and we are very skilled and experienced in that work. So, Governor Hagen, thank you for taking on congestion in our region. We've waited a long time for this type of attention from Annapolis. This should be a great opportunity for our region. But your proposal has significant flaws, and we have legal obligations to protect our constituents and our local land use decisions. We want to work with you. We want to work with you to correct the shortcomings of the MDOT plan, and we don't want to be shut out of the process. As they say in Annapolis, our three counties want to be at the table and not on the menu. Comptroller Francho and Treasurer Kopp, you are both highly skilled veteran legislators. On Wednesday, we're asking you to remand the managed lanes proposal back to MDOT and direct them to include the elements of our plan and win the approval of local officials, as has always been done with large transportation projects. So I'll return to the advantages of our plan in a few minutes, but first we're lucky enough to have the chair of the Prince George's and Montgomery County Councils here. Council President Navarro has to leave immediately for an appointment, so I want to call her up to be followed by Council President Todd Turner. Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks so much. Well, first, let me thank our Council Member Tom Hucker, who leads our Transportation and Environment Committee, for his leadership on this issue. We have been very clear from the very beginning. The Montgomery County Council has been very clear from the very beginning that we understand that we need relief for this congestion, that we understand the negative impact that this congestion has on the quality of life of our residents. We've always been on record acknowledging this, but we've also said that, number one, you need to work with our community. Number two, you need to look at ways to incorporate meaningful transit-oriented solutions. Number three, you need to look at environmental impact, and most specifically, why would you choose a particular proposal that is going to sacrifice so many important parts of our county? When you look at the impact that it will have on this neighborhood, when you look at the impact that it's going to have on Blair High School, Holy Cross Hospital, why would would you do such a thing when in reality, the fact is that we do have alternatives that will be able to provide the type of solutions, the type of congestion relief that we all need. So we are here together, and I am so grateful to my colleagues from Prince George's County, from Frederick County, that came here on a short notice to be clear once again that we understand that we do need congestion relief, but that we also want them to please take a step back and evaluate these alternatives that we are putting forward that will provide a much better path forward. And just very quickly in Spanish, because I have to leave and I've been asked by a few of you, estamos aquí porque la realidad es que sabemos lo difícil que es para todos nuestros residentes tener que lidiar día a día con la congestión y el tráfico. Lo entendemos y estamos aquí para apoyar una solución que no significa sacrificar tantas partes de nuestro condado. Tenemos una alternativa que va a incluir una solución para este tipo de congestión, pero estamos pidiendo, por favor, transporte público, respeto al medio ambiente y también incluir a los residentes para que den su opinión. Así que por eso estamos aquí con los líderes de Prince George's County, estamos aquí con líderes del condado de Frederick, estamos aquí unidos para decirle al gobernador que por favor pare y evalúe esta alternativa y por favor tome en cuenta lo que estamos diciendo aquí como líderes de la comunidad. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Prince George's County Chair, Council Chair Todd Turner.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I want to thank Councilmember Hucker and the other members, elected officials here. We have representation, obviously, not only from the counties, but also from the state. I also do have colleagues with me today. I have Councilmember Dannielle Glaros, as well as Councilmember Jolene Ivey here as well. And I just want to say the County Council in Prince George's County joins with our partners with this simple message. We passed the resolution last month and sent that to the Board of Public Works, just asking them three things. One, to do a financial analysis with respect to this multi-billion-dollar project. Two, to complete the environmental impact statement before moving forward with a contract. And three, to work with our local jurisdictions to come up with a plan that we all can support. Prince George's County has been a leader in using public-private partnerships. We've done it in stormwater management, one of the first in Maryland. We're doing it now. We have the opportunity to do that with school construction, so we know it works. And obviously, we have the most major transportation plan between Prince George's County and Montgomery County in the Purple Line. Again, another example of us working together to find solutions to an issue. And so I would say to the Board of Public Works and to the governor and to the Maryland Department of Transportation, we're willing to work with you, but we have to work together in order to find a solution that is amenable to the residents that are directly impacted by this proposal. Lastly, I would just say, I know this past week was a big one for the governor about making a decision about what his future was going to be, and he talked about bipartisan solutions and how he is trying to advocate for that. And so we're saying we're willing to work with you. We understand the need and the problems. Our residents face this issue every single day, as well as other residents of this state. We are a partner. We want to be listened to as part of this process, not dictated to, not told what to do, but to work directly. And we have done that before, particularly on our transportation issues. So we join with our colleagues here in Montgomery County and in Frederick County to give some alternatives for us to discuss as part of this process. Because I know if we're working together, we can achieve what we need to do on behalf of the residents of our jurisdictions and the state of Maryland. So with that, thank you, and we look forward to our work together and for the Board of Public Works listening to us this coming Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Todd. I want to quickly run through, before the other elected officials speak, the 7 key elements of the plan you can see on the left on the first board here, in contrast to the MDOT managed lane plan on the second board. These are elements that are mostly incorporated in priorities letters that our counties have been sending to Annapolis, to MDOT, for years. These are not new ideas, most of them. But taken together, they are a more balanced, more taxpayer-friendly, more environmentally friendly, and more effective plan for traffic congestion relief. So let me take them in order. One, we need to begin by prioritizing the Virginia to Frederick corridor, where there's the worst congestion, where there's the greatest potential for congestion relief. We need to improve the American Legion Bridge and run new managed lanes all the way up to Frederick and bring our residents of northern Montgomery County and Frederick County some relief immediately rather than making them wait as in the MDOT plan. Number two, on the Beltway east of 270, and you can hear the Beltway right behind me and see the wall that separates us from it, we need to make improvements within the current right-of-way, including lane metering, making the cars enter the Beltway at the optimum frequency, and using the left shoulder during peak periods, as we do in other key roads in Maryland and in many states all over the country, including Virginia. Third, we need to run the managed lanes up 95 to the ICC and direct southbound traffic on I-95 to take the ICC to get to Virginia. The ICC, we all know, is underutilized. Drivers avoid it because they get stuck on 270. But once we improve 270, directing southbound I-95 drivers onto the ICC to get to Virginia will keep them off the Beltway, which will also raise revenue for MDOT. Fourth, add reversible lanes north of 370 all the way to Frederick, so our plan means immediate relief for commuters from Frederick County and north of Clarksburg. Fifth, dedicate some of the toll revenue to transit. That's what happens with the toll lanes in Virginia that Secretary Ron much admires, but it's not part of the MDOT plan right now. Sixth, transportation demand management, TDM. Our plan manages demand rather than just increasing capacity. So it encourages transit use by connecting commuters to locally serving transit, including Marc, including BRT. We want to improve our park and rides. We want to encourage carpooling so fewer people drive and more people can use our HOV lanes. We also want to encourage our electric vehicles and encourage telecommuting. That is all part of a balanced plan, and those elements are left out of the MDOT plan. And seventh, and finally, economic development. The MDOT plan fails to provide direct access to key activity centers like Prince George's Hospital. We propose to use the managed lanes to connect to such local priorities and then run them all the way down to National Harbor and connect to transit over the Wilson Bridge to Alexandria and upriver to the Amazon HQ2 at National Landing. It makes little sense to stop the managed lanes at Branch Avenue. So in summary, our amendments to MDOT's managed lanes plans have multiple advantages. They have the support of our local officials who are behind me and dozens that are not here today. It's a balanced plan, not a 100% highway plan. It increases transit use and employs transportation demand management to encourage ride sharing and telecommuting. It's consistent with our local master plans. It doesn't displace residents or take large swaths of parkland like this park behind us. And it provides immediate relief for the residents of Frederick County and Montgomery County residents north of Clarksburg. Finally, it drives the economic growth by connecting to economic development priorities like National Harbor. We ask Comptroller Francho and Treasurer Kopp to remand the pre-solicitation report back to MDOT and direct them to adopt those changes and to win the support of the local elected officials behind me. So with that, now you know the advantages we have. Let me call, I think Council Vice President Sidney Katz needs to run as well. So let me call him up and the county executive.
Thank you very, very much. You know, there's got to be a dogs and cats joke here. You see the dogs over here. First off, Tom Hucker deserves an extra round of applause. Is he unbelievable or what? We are here today. I grew up in Montgomery County, right off of 270 in Gaithersburg area. I can tell you, when it's called 70S, I can tell you that all of us, every one of us standing shoulder to shoulder, want a better transportation network for Montgomery County, all of Montgomery County. But the way it is being proposed, I'm not going to repeat everything that Tom said because he said it perfectly, but things that are being proposed don't get us there. We need multimodal. We need multimodal. And yes, and there's things that the state has not looked at. They haven't looked at this this idea of monorail. It's intriguing. It could come from Frederick. It's going to be a public, if it happens, could be a public-private partnership. It can happen fairly quickly because it's prefab and they can hook it together, and it can be higher and lower and get over bridges, and it's quiet, and it's all of those things necessary. It gets a percentage of the traffic from 270, which also goes to 495. It gets a good percentage off the road. And supposedly, according to the people that are looking at this from the public-private partnership, supposedly it wouldn't cost any more to ride it from Frederick to the Shady Grove Metro than it does to ride from Shady Grove Metro to Metro Center or to Union Station. It would be cheaper for somebody to actually ride that monorail than to park at Metro. Why wouldn't we consider doing that? Why wouldn't we consider doing things that can give us relief today rather than pretend that we're actually doing something that's going to give us relief whenever? That's not what we need. When you're sitting in traffic, you don't want somebody to say, I'll get back to you in 30 years. That's not the way it's got to work. We should do reversible lanes. It's fairly inexpensive to do it. And we should do all of the things necessary that are on the list so that all of us can get relief, so that we can get to our jobs and to all the things that are so necessary in our lives. But we need to do it. We need to do it together. We need to do it properly, and we need to do it in an environmentally sensitive way. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President. I want to call up the county executive, but before I do, let me acknowledge the other elected officials that are here, and we'll stay as long as you will stay to let folks who want to speak. But I want to recognize and thank for being here Joan Kleinman from Senator Chris Van Hollen's office. Vicky Garcia is here from Congressman Sarbanes. Kathleen Connor's here from Congressman Raskin's office. Thank you, Kathleen and Vicky. Frederick Councilmember Kai Hagen will be up in front of us in a minute, but he's our Frederick County Council representative. Kai, thank you for being here. State Senator Susan Lee has joined us, along with Delegate Jared Solomon, Delegate Gabe Acevero, and Delegate Al Carr. Did I miss anybody? Any other delegates? Okay. Oh, Delegate Mary Lehman. Oh, I should turn the, okay, thank you, Delegate Mary Lehman from Prince George's. Thank you. College Park City Council member Fazlul Kabir is here. Rockville Mayor Bridget Newton is with us. And Planning Chair Casey Anderson canceled the meeting to be here. So let me call up the county executive, Marc Elrich.
So first of all, I want to thank Tom for all the work that they put into us and all the work my staff did to get maps ready and get the press ready. You did a remarkable job. This is a great turnout on a beautiful day. It's a great day to start over or to be reborn. So I have a few things to say about this. It won't surprise anybody. First of all, I want to make clear that I am no fan of congestion. I didn't spend a dozen years working on planning and pushing a bus rapid transit network in Montgomery County because I wanted to see this place more congested. And I didn't support, when I was on the Citizens Committee that Doug Duncan appointed, work on the part of the Beltway that goes to the American Legion Bridge because I didn't think anything should be done. There are things we need to do, and we need to do them. We need to do them the right way. Back when O'Malley was governor, my council supported 2 reversible lanes on I-270. They can do this. It doesn't cost anywhere near as much as what they're proposing. If they don't want to do 2 reversible lanes, I wrote the governor a letter, I wrote SHA a letter back in the fall, and I suggested taking the inside shoulder lane on I-270 and turning it into the HOV lane and converting the HOV lane to a through lane. I said, Governor, you can get a lane tomorrow if you want it. And as I was driving up I-270 last night, guess what they had done? They had taken out the inside service lane when you get off the spur, and they had added a lane paving across. There is a way for us to move forward. If you don't want to do the reversals, get your lanes with inside the pavement, and there are ways to do it. One lane is taking the inside service lane. There's another way to get a second lane. The point is that if you need relief on I-270, we're not saying stop. We're saying do it, but do it sensibly and don't blow the bank on the project. Do it in a sensible way. In December, I made a comment about if the governor was serious about his project, he'd start at the American Legion Bridge. In January, they announced they were going to change plans and start at the American Legion Bridge. And that shows you that people in SHA are listening. It was true that it made sense to start at the American Legion Bridge, and I support Park and Planning's letter that proposes they look at the western spur and the bridge, and I-270 is the primary focus of the first part of this project. That's something that makes sense. That's something that can be done within the boundaries. That's something with minimal impact on both pocketbooks and on residents, and that to me is what's important. The fundamental problem with this approach and selling this as how you're going to deal with congestion is that what happens when you get off the Beltway? I mean, you all know where Surrender Dorothy is, right? I think somebody's put something else up there. Hopefully it'll be replaced at some point. But when for years there was only one exit lane on Georgia Avenue, and it backed all the way up to the bridge. So they said, we're going to fix it. We're going to put 2 lanes to exit onto Georgia Avenue. It still backs all the way up to the bridge. You can't get off. So no matter what the governor does to speed people around the Beltway, when you get to places like Georgia Avenue and Connecticut Avenue, you're not going anywhere fast. And so what we want is a comprehensive solution. It doesn't make sense to focus on the Beltway and then not be able to get where you're going. We need solutions on our county roadways to move people. There are ways we can do this. I support doing that. That's something that would make a difference to our residents, and more importantly, would make a difference to all our residents. Projects that we've proposed are on New Hampshire Avenue, Connecticut Avenue, Georgia Avenue, Wisconsin Avenue, Veers Mill Road. Support for those kind of projects at a fraction of the price of what they're willing to spend on this. Provide relief for Montgomery County residents throughout the county. And I've talked to folks in Prince George's County. They have internal needs as well. And this project will rob our ability to do some of those other projects. So my proposal is basically what Tom has been talking about. We need to take this approach. We need to get the EIS done. We need the governor to work with us. This would be really easy. If you want to solve the problem and you're willing to spend $11 billion or $15 billion, I don't know what the last number was, on a public-private partnership, then work with the people you're trying to help and let us design a network of roads and transit, a multimodal solution that'll solve this problem. We're not saying go away. We're not interested in talking to you. We're saying if you want to help us, talk to us. That's right. I'm more than willing to work with the governor. I mean, it's important that we get this right. One of the things that I'm most concerned with is the no compete clause that's buried in this contract. I mean, if they're serious that anything which takes toll riders off that road you can't do, then for 100 years that will bar us from any kind of transit solution. What if the county wanted to incentivize people to telecommute? Would that be a violation? Would that take people off the road? What if we managed parking and said you can only have so many parking spaces in order to reduce the number of drivers coming into our urban centers? Would that be a violation? Would this take people off the toll roads? Would this be used as hostile? What if we built the bus rapid transit network and discovered that people actually liked using buses in proper lanes where they're not stuck in traffic? Is that going to be something that they view as blocking the ability to do this project? So we need to be able to move into the future. You know, the governor set some very ambitious climate goals. He can't meet them if all he does is expand the driving. And I got to be honest about this. I drive an electric car. My electric car still pollutes because the power from my electric car comes from a coal-fired plant. So we can't escape and just say, well, the future might well be electric. If I have more cars and I don't take them off the road, they're still using electricity, which is not necessarily clean electricity. So let's focus on getting cars off the road. That's what I would like to see us focus on. You know, you all know I was no fan of the ICC, but the thing is built. And one of the things they said when they built it, it would take traffic off the Beltway. Let's incentivize that. Let's fix 270 so when you're coming down I-95 and you hit the ICC, since you're going to have to pay a toll anyway on the Beltway, you might as well pay the toll on the ICC, which is already built, and now I don't have to spend my capital twice and take the ICC over to 270, fix 270, and let people go south. There's so much we could do if he'd give us the time to think about it and work with us. We're not saying no. Our doors are open. My mind is open. But I want real solutions. I want solutions that last permanently. And I want solutions that don't result in the 3 jurisdictions that are affected by this saying we don't want it. That's unprecedented. We're not, not wanting to take medicine like bad children. We actually want solutions. The money is great. His initiative and his willingness to do something is great. Now just work with us so we do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive Elrich. And sorry, guys, I thought Nancy got you, but I need to introduce my Montgomery County colleagues. Evan Glass is here. Yay! And Gabe Alvernaz is here. And Evan has brought Daisy and Percy to be the watchdogs of this project. Let me bring up our third county first, Kai Hagen, the council member from Frederick County Council.
I had to drive I-270 to get here. It wasn't too bad after rush hour, but there are thousands of people from Frederick County who drive it every day, and a lot of them get stuck in bad traffic, and they want a solution. It's understandable that they want a solution to that congestion, which for many of them have been doing it for years, has gotten worse and worse and worse. But big problems don't require silver bullets or a single big solution. Big problems require many small solutions. And what we're looking at is it's ultimate thinking in the box. We've been building this box bigger and bigger and trying to do the same thing for a long time, and our experience all around the country and increasingly, studied, proven, demonstrated over and over again is not the solution that's going to work. Just widening lanes, adding more big roads is not going to work. So we need all the smaller solutions and other things that will be flexible enough to continue to develop that aren't even on here, like the monorail, which Marc mentioned. But the box has also been built by a process that has been woefully inadequate and frankly shamefully heavy-handed, and it needs to be said. That shouldn't be happening, but everybody else here is covering a lot of the other details. They're doing it really well. So I just want to highlight, one thing, and I appreciate Marc mentioning it briefly, and that is we are living in a climate crisis world. And with all the solutions that we have or that we could put together and that we can still come up with to deal with these problems in a rapidly changing technological, transportation, and energy environment, we are picking the box that is the single worst solution of any proposal, including doing nothing when it comes to climate change. If this is an existential crisis, and it's as important as most of us up here and elsewhere, I think it is, that's the wrong direction. Billions of dollars, 8-10 years of construction and construction delays, only to get to something that's going to offer a brief respite, cost a lot of money for individual riders, not solve the problem, and contribute more to climate change is an absolutely unacceptable solution. And the commuters in Frederick County who think that they're going to get relief from this and find out that it's not going to work that way, would be participating in a sense, what's the biggest mistake we can make on the biggest issue we're facing on the planet today. So with all the other details, I wanted to make sure that we didn't forget that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kai. Let me call up the immediate past chair of the Prince George's County Council and the Prince George's representative of the Transportation Planning Board, Councilwoman Dannielle Glaros.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have to first of all thank my colleague over in Montgomery County, Tom Hucker, for all of his work. It was quite an honor to join him a few weeks back in Silver Spring on a Sunday morning with like 700 people in the audience as we gathered and we talked and we echoed, I think, the same sentiments you're hearing today. And I said one phrase there, and I'll say it again today. And in fact, I actually said it to Secretary Ron when he was in our council chambers just a few weeks even earlier than that. And I said, this approach is not the Maryland way. It is not the Maryland way to have a Board of Public Works vote before you close off a public comment period. It is not the Maryland way to push forward on a project before the appropriate environmental impact assessment has been done. This is not how we approach big projects, especially the biggest transportation project that would be done in our nation. If we're going to do it, we need to do it right. We need to make sure that the taxpayers who will be on the hook for this at the end understand what is going on and that we fully are looking at all of our options before we move forward. And so I want to thank my council colleagues, our chair, Chair Turner, and Councilmember Jolene Ivey, but frankly, every one of my colleagues on the council for joining with me with the resolution that we pushed forward just a few weeks ago to really make sure that the Board of Public Works understood the sentiment of this county council and understood the sentiment of our public in Prince George's County. So thank you all for all of your advocacy. Thank you all for coming out on Wednesday for the Board of Public Works, and keep on going. Thank you.
Thank you, Dannielle. We haven't heard from our state legislators yet. Senator Lee, do you want to join us? And Delegate Solomon. Delegate Jared Solomon's here. Delegate Acevero, thank you for coming. And Delegate Lehman. You want to come up?
First of all, I'm Senator Susan Lee. I represent District 16. I'm so glad to see everyone out here today because we have to explore other solutions too as well, not just one that will be perhaps maybe a reckless use of our taxpayer money. But thank you for everyone who is coming here. All that's been said has been said very well, and let's make sure that this process is transparent, inclusive, and has the support of all communities. Thank you.
Good morning. Hot mic. My name is Delegate Jared Solomon, and I have the privilege of representing District 18. And I just want to thank everybody who's here. This is a very similar coalition that came together during the General Assembly to support my bill, HB 1091, that would have required a lot of what we're talking about here: accountability, fiscal oversight, an environmental impact statement, removing the non-compete clause that the county executive mentioned. And many of us came together in Annapolis during our legislative session to push for that as well. And I think what that shows is we need collaboration. We don't need solutions pushed down our throats that frankly won't work. And whether it's the plan we're standing here now, or if something similar ultimately comes to fruition, working together is how we get to solutions. None of us support traffic. It's time away from our friends, from our families, in our communities. It's our neighbors who are impacted by all of this. But what we really need is solutions, not turning over our infrastructure to a private company for the next 50 to 100 years. And I would like to announce that actually, as we speak, our colleagues are releasing a letter. Over 60 members of the General Assembly have signed a letter to the Board of Public Works from all over the state, not just these three counties, but our colleagues in Baltimore and Baltimore County, joining with us to say, please put the brakes on this, asking the Board of Public Works to, again, pull back from what we're doing now, bring all of us together, work collaboratively so we can come up with solutions that really work for our residents. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Delegate Gabriel Acevero, and I have the distinct honor of serving the 39th District in Montgomery County. My district is impacted by these discussions that we're having right now, or lack thereof, rather, where my constituents are experiencing the same level of traffic congestion that a lot of us experience that either live in up county or work in up county, and we want to ensure that we're getting this right. This past legislative session, I questioned Secretary Rand on a number of occasions about this project and how rushed it is, without any kind of public input, without any kind of community input. And one of the things that we hear a lot in Annapolis is local courtesy. And local courtesy is, in essence, giving deference to the jurisdiction or the county that issues that are being discussed in Annapolis most impact. And I can tell you this right now, that local courtesy did not take place when it came to this project. And that's what we're trying to ensure, that we are injecting the voices, the concerns, and the solutions of the people that are most impacted by this. So this is a call to the Board of Public Works, to Comptroller Francho, to Treasurer Kopp, to do the right thing, to ensure that we are requiring the voices of the people most impacted by this, the jurisdictions most impacted by this. We're calling on the governor to put a brakes on this. I am one of several delegates, state legislators who have signed on to this letter calling for a pause on this project. But more importantly, we need to look at the environmental impact statement. I think it has already been articulated beautifully that our environment, where we live, and the community and the state that we give to the next generation, that is the most important thing in this entire conversation. And if any part of that is threatened, then we need to reevaluate any single project that we're doing, including this one. Now, I want to thank everyone for coming out. This is an important issue. We're going to continue, and we're asking everyone to continue to lend their voices to this fight. The governor has to hear from us. Local courtesy has to take place. And we want to ensure that Montgomery County residents and District 39 residents, District 18 residents, and all of the residents that are impacted by this highway expansion without your voices are being a part of this process. So thank you very much for being here, and we're going to continue to fight to ensure that Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Frederick County get what they deserve. We're getting more people off the roads, and we're ensuring that we're providing multimodal transportation for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Good? Everybody good? Okay. Let me invite up Councilwoman Jolene Ivey. Woo! From Prince George's County.
Hi, I'm Jolene Ivey, Councilwoman District 5 from Prince George's County. And one thing I've learned as a delegate and now on the county council is it's so important to get many viewpoints in order to get the best outcome. Otherwise, you have more unintended consequences. And unintended consequences can come up at any point in the project, but there would be more if we haven't already worked together and thought together, as many people have already said today. So I just implore the Board of Public Works to use common sense and use good judgment and put a pause on this until we can all come together and get the best minds at work on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene. Let me call up our local officials. Rockville Mayor Bridget Newton is here, and College Park Councilman Fazlul Kabir is here. Please.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. I'm Bridget Donald Newton. I'm the mayor of Rockville, and I appreciate Councilmember Hucker inviting the city to speak. We are directly impacted by what happens on I-270, and we've been trying very hard to have this conversation with the people at the state level. At first, it was no homes will be taken, no property will be taken. Now it's not so sure about what's going to happen. It is surprising to me that the state of Maryland, one of the best educated and forward-thinking states in the country, is considering widening roads. It just doesn't make sense. Whether Councilmember Katz mentioned the possibility of a monorail, whether that is the solution or not, why not give it a fair chance? It is a state of Maryland project, company. It would put dollars in our own coffers. I don't understand why it isn't being given the exact same opportunity going forward as widening the roads. The other thing that was mentioned earlier by our council member from Frederick is the impact on the climate. Putting more macadam and more cars on the road will not help us in our crisis. And as we all knew yesterday, with that wonderful storm that came through with the hail the size of golf balls, we are being severely impacted this year, worse than ever. So let's take a look at all the options on the table. The monorail has an additional proposal of a road, a bike pathway underneath the monorail that would go from Frederick on down. Can you imagine being able to go 28 miles on a bike and not impact with traffic at all? So let's put all the options on the table. Let's give them a fair and objective chance to be heard. And I thank the County Council and everybody who's here today for joining together to have this discussion. Thank you all.
Good morning. So I have the distinct honor to represent North College Park, where I-495 Beltway cuts through it. And College Park City Council has been opposing consistently this proposal again and again. If Beltway expanded, our residents living next to it will be losing their properties, and hundreds of residents will be exposed to more noise and pollution. And we'll be losing green space with hundreds of mature trees. And we'll also be losing a park just like that behind us in Sunnyside neighborhood in North College Park. And we'll be having a lot more traffic on Route 1, and the I-495 exit at Route 1 will be more dysfunctional. Now, we don't like congestions, and College Park actually supported and still supports and we love it, love the Purple Line. And we have been working together to build it, and we ask, why can't we all work together again to build more transit options? So we ask the Board of Public Works, please stop this 20th century plan to fix the 21st century problem. And please do the right thing. Please complete the environmental impact statement before moving further. And please, please work with us and don't work without us. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Let me call up my Transportation Committee colleague, Evan Glass, and his entourage.
And my entourage. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my neighborhood of Indian Spring. It is a beautiful community, and the reason I've brought members of my family, Daisy and Percy, is because this is our daily walk. I live 3 blocks away from here. And about a month ago, I offered the governor a chance to come and walk around these neighborhoods, all the neighborhoods that surround the Beltway, to simply talk and see the concerns that thousands of us have. He has not yet taken me up on the offer, and given the tone that had come out of Annapolis just this weekend about needing to change the dialogue in our political discourse, I invite him again to come and talk with all of us, take a tour around the Beltway, engage in the type of political philosophy he shared over the weekend. And until he comes to our neighborhood, which I'm not sure he will, later this week we have the Board of Public Works. And another reason I brought my dogs is because we do need a watchdog at that hearing. And whether it is the governor having a conversation with us or the comptroller being the fiscal watchdog for all the taxpayers of the state of Maryland, we need someone looking out for our best interests. And I have fundamental concerns with the parameters of this deal. As has been noted before, what we're proposing, what the governor is proposing, is decades of toll roads that will be gained by eminent domain with no compete contracts. That, to me, is not the type of government I want here in the state of Maryland. And it is, I think, a fundamentally flawed one. So for all the reasons that have been shared, the environmental stewardship, the communities that flank the Beltway and 270 with serious concerns, we have not received any serious responses to any of these questions. So I am asking the governor, I am asking the comptroller and our treasurer to look out for the best interests and taxpayers of Montgomery County and the state of Maryland and be the fiscal watchdogs you've been elected to. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. And we're so proud to have our strong support from our federal delegation. I recognized the representatives earlier, but I'm really glad that we're in the 8th Congressional District, and we have Kathleen Connor from Congressman Raskin's office as well, is with us as well. Kathleen.
Good morning, everyone. Congressman Raskin actually tried to make it here today, but as you all know, he's very busy on the Hill these days. So he just sent me the statement that he asked me to read on his behalf. I continue to have grave concerns about the governor's proposal to expand 495 without comprehensive environmental, transportation, and fiscal impact studies. Affected communities have been raising serious objections that have simply not been answered. We need to have authentic public participation and dialogue to come up with the best answers to the chronic problems of traffic congestion. I look forward to working with all of you to solve these problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. So that's it, folks. You wore us out. I do want to thank Melanie Winger, Chris Conklin for his great work on these boards, Al Roshdi, our Director of Transportation, O'Henny, and Barry, and everybody in the County Exec's PIO office for helping put this together. And my Chief of Staff, Dave Kuhns, is around here somewhere, who worked tirelessly on this great event. Thank you so much. We hope to see many of you at the Board of Public Works meeting on Wednesday morning. Do we have any? Are there any questions? Well, I've read that survey. Survey after survey have showed people are concerned about traffic congestion. This is not news. That's been happening for a decade. But when you ask people what they want to see as relief, they want to see transit. They want to see a balanced multimodal approach. They want to see an approach that's smart on climate. And if you look further beyond the headline of that survey, supermajorities of the public expressed concerns that the toll roads wouldn't work, that the tolls would be too expensive, that the properties around here, like this beautiful park, would be taken, and that it was bad for the environment. So people are complicated. Everybody wants to get to work instantly, but there's a cost. As our old speaker Bush used to say, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And I think people understand that everything comes with a cost, and there are smarter, more balanced, more environmentally sound, and safer for the taxpayer investments in transportation relief. And to get there, the governor just has to work with us and not against us, because we're the experts on congestion relief in Montgomery and Prince George's and Frederick counties.
Well, Dan, thank you for the question. So I would actually point you to a quote in yesterday's Washington Post article and articles previous, where Senator King, who has been a great ally with us on many issues, and I think it's important to say there isn't, we're a large collaborative group. There's 24 of us on the House, 8 of us in the Senate, and we all have differing opinions. Our House delegation unanimously supported my piece of legislation, and Senator King recently questioned whether her constituents would see relief immediately, and I think Delegate Acevero can touch on that. But when, as the county executive mentioned, when you look at the governor's plan, the area north of 370, which is predominantly her district, on that stretch of 270 between north of 370 to Frederick, will not be impacted by this plan for potentially 10 years. And I think the plan that we have laid out here and other ideas that many of us have touched on, or pieces of legislation that many of us plan on introducing next session, will provide immediate relief or near immediate relief in the near term to those constituents, those areas that are immediately impacted. And I don't think, as you heard from any of us, none of us are in support of traffic. What we want are solutions that really address the problem immediately. And I'll turn it over to Delegate Acevero, because it's his district.
Yes, so what we keep hearing from District 39 residents is that we want an alleviation to traffic congestion. And if we can all agree that the way to alleviate traffic congestion is to get more people and more cars off the road, then the policies and the solutions that follow, we would not disagree upon. The issue that we are having here is the issue that we've had this legislative session with Governor Hagen, is that he is not exemplifying local courtesy. He is not working with the local elected officials, the people who are closest to our constituents, who speak with, who poll our constituents on this issue. He has not spoken to. Instead, he's moving ahead on a plan that has not had the input and the consultation of the communities most impacted. So where do our constituents stand? They believe in multimodal transportation. They want an alleviation to traffic congestion, but what that looks like is not continuing to expand and build new roads. It is investing in multimodal transportation, transit, monorail, bus rapid transit. Those are the kind of investments that we want. And if the governor is willing to throw billions of dollars under the disguise of alleviating traffic congestion, he can at least speak with us, and we could put some plans that would be worthy of this billions of dollars that he's willing to earmark and allocate for this plan. Thank you.
I just want to add that when we were dealing with Amazon and we were working with the state, we had a really comprehensive transit solution because Amazon insisted that we address the traffic problem. Their solution then, we're only talking about a year ago, was multiple BRT lines that would basically serve the west side of the county, and they were going to build the second track on the Marc rail so that you could run all-day bidirectional service on the rail, because they knew that it would significantly reduce the usage of I-270. So I don't know how really good ideas that they worked with us on and were ready to do for Amazon, how they've come off the table. It doesn't make any sense.